Um, Further discussion about what to do when you're meeting with clients. This is the third talk on that subject. Um, Assume that they'll go ahead. Don't just proceed as if they're going ahead. Generally, most of them will. And if they don't want to, they'll tell you. So just once you've got the story, select the appropriate precedent from the folder. Um, these documents. Okay, I need an SFTL. Let's just open one up, and then you go ahead and ask them the rest of the information you need. Then you will have a lot of this information already, particularly if you've got the numbers, which you always should in the story. If they say they want to think about it, say it's fine, and you can make an appointment for them to come in next week. That's great. That's important. Otherwise, they kind of drift off and we lose track of them. So say, okay, cool. If you do want to go ahead, I just want to book you a time next week so that uh, we've got space for you. If you don't want to, if you decide not to, then just tell us and we'll cancel that appointment. We just want to book you in. When would be a good time? And then you've got to go to the appointments list and find a time, and just write on the appointments list on Google Drive. So you would put in John Smith, your initials. In my case, it would be DJS. Yours would obviously be different, mostly. And then you'd say reappoint SFTL, and that's it. And then you go share. And I'd better delete this because otherwise this is a live list, so I'm going to get confused. But that's what you would do. The contract you sign with them, the fee contract, SFTLs are the main contingency fee agreements. Most other things are fixed fees, and then you sign the other agreement, the non-contingency one, just the fee agreement. On most agreements, all you're doing is you're filling in their name and address, their name and the amount that you agree in the payment arrangement, which will usually be 25,000 fixed amount or 7,000 rand a month, starting within the next week and then every month on the X date. By the way, if it's near the end of the month, it's fine if they pay one now, the next week, and then they pay the next one at the end of the next month. So there's maybe a 6-week gap or a 5-week gap or something. But if it's like near the beginning of the month, it's best to say, no, look, if it's before the beginning of the month, before the 15th, then you need to make a payment now and then one at the end of the month as well. That's how that works. Right, filing. This is important. There's two things, filing with the court and filing in our offices. Right, so you've drafted the document. You need to send the client, send the documents. The usual way we do it is we send the documents to Postnet. It's Broad, this is if it's in Joburg, Broadacres at postnet.coza. Obviously, you've got to get the client's buy-in before you do this. So you say, like, I'm just going to say, what I can do is I can send your documents to the Postnet across the other side of the centre. To print, you've got to print it 3 times, scan it once. When it's signed, sorry, I should say, sign all 3, scan it once, and send us back the scan copy, because we often file on people by email, but we have to file with the sheriff if we're initiating. So in other words, if it's an SFTL, if it's selling for too little, then we're initiating, we're actually summoning the bank, and so we need to serve that with the sheriff as well. So we need 3 copies. If it's an affidavit, It's a notice of motion, and an affidavit makes up an application. Then they need to go to Douglasdale Police Station or some other Commissioner of Oaths and sign it in front of the Commissioner of Oaths. That's on Vitcoppen opposite the Buzz Shopping Centre. The nearest one from us. It's about 3 or 4 kilometres away, down Cedar Road, Vitcoppen. If you're in some other area, you need to work these things out. Where's the police station, etc. Where can you print documents? Don't commit us to printing all the documents. You can say, look, we can print all your documents. We charge an extra 5,000 rand for that, and it needs to be paid up front. Because otherwise we get involved in spending all our time doing admin, and if every client does it, it's a lot better. Tell the client to make sure the commissioner initials the annexures and the notice of motion. Annexures are things you add to the application evidence, like for example the bank statement to say what the bank sold the property for, or a valuation of the property. Anything apart from an affidavit like a summons or the notice of motion, the client can just sign. It doesn't need to be signed by me. It doesn't need to be signed by our attorney. She will come on later on as attorney of record. From now on, we file in the client's name. If they need to fill in extra information or get documents, then you can send the documents to them at home, and they can sign it, get it commissioned, print it off, 3 copies, etc., and then bring it all back to us. It's better, obviously, if you get them to do it on the day, because then everything's done. And then the finished copies need to come to my office, because that's where Headman, the courier, will usually pick them up from. Again, if you're in Cape Town or Durban, the arrangement will be slightly different. So you need one to file in court, and then the court will stamp all 3 copies. One to serve on the other side. We sometimes do that by email. Sometimes they insist on personal service. They can't do that, but sometimes we just serve them by, if they insist anyway. And then 1 copy for us. If the client wants a copy for themselves, then we need 4 printed copies. So just, you've got to tell them that too. And remember, yeah, if we're initiating proceedings, one needs to go to the sheriff. If we're responding and not initiating, then we file scan copies by email normally. Occasionally, Headman will pick up from the client. If so, the client pays him directly, and you must tell the client that. It's about $100, $200, sometimes less. Okay, so that's filing with the court. We also need to file with our offices as well. So if Headman is brought, somebody at the end of every day has to make sure that they do the filing of the documents in our filing cabinet. So if the clients have given us documents, these documents need to be filed that day in the filing cabinet at the end of the day.